In this video, I'm going to share with you how I set up my very first community garden in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Community gardens are a great way to get started if you want to get into agriculture, if you want to start growing your own food, but you don't have land, you don't know exactly what to do. This is the way to go. It's cheap, you meet a lot of like-minded folks, you build community, and you also acquire some really good skills. The first thing you want to do is you want to find out if they tested the soil for heavy metals. You don't want to start growing food in a place and then find out later that there are heavy metals. You don't want to do that. They also told me that there were woodchucks in this particular lot. So I put a fencing around my garden because I didn't want to lose my crops to woodchucks. Once the fencing was in place, I needed to figure out my walkway. So here I am kind of marking with pieces of wood the areas I want to make sure are clear for walking in and out. Part of it is not to compact the soil, but also to have a sense of where to plant things. After that, the next step was to lay cardboard, cover everything with cardboard. The reason why I did that is because I wanted to block any wheat from germinating. These gardens have been essentially abandoned for a couple of years, so there is massive amount of weeds growing everywhere. They tilled the soil right before we came in, but essentially is just massive amounts of weeds that I did not want to deal with. Once the cardboard was laid out, I needed to add layers of organic material. In this particular case, I was able to find a local alpaca farm that provided free manure. I knew they were feeding their animals with organic feed, so I knew it was pretty good material. And one of the good things about alpaca manure is that it's low in nitrogen, so which means it's not a huge source of fertilizer for your garden. But the good thing is that because it doesn't have a ton of nitrogen, you can actually apply it on the garden beds right away and start growing in it because it's not going to heat up, it's not going to burn the roots of your plants. When working with animal manures, you want to make sure you know where the manure is coming from. You want to make sure you trust the people who are giving it to you because there is a couple of considerations. You want to make sure that it doesn't have pesticides because if they are feeding hay that is being sprayed or food that is being sprayed with pesticides, those pesticides are going to find their way into your garden bed, even if it went through the digestive system of a grown animal. The other thing is like antibiotics and dewormers, like especially if you're working with horses, if you're getting horse manure, if someone gives the horses dewormer, like really heavy set antibiotics, essentially when you bring that into your garden, it's going to kill all the worms in your soil. So you want to be mindful of where you're getting it. And also you don't want to use manure as your primary source of fertilizing if you don't know where it comes from. Like in this particular case, I used it once, I trust these folks, I will use it again. But as a whole, as I move on to creating new gardens and new beds in my work, I actually have moved away from animal manures. I haven't had terrible experiences with it. I've been very lucky, but just I don't know what they're feeding the animals. I don't know when they're gonna give antibiotics or dewormers to the horses. So I'd rather just stay away from it altogether. It's just for peace of mind. Once I was done laying out all the manures and dry leaves, I added a layer of hay from the stables where they keep the alpacas, just kind of top everything, block any potential weed, and I was ready to start planting on these beds. If you're going to use animal manures, you also want to be mindful of pathogens that could potentially get into your food, especially if you're eating stuff directly from the garden. You may not want to use animals manures that has not been decomposed for at least a year. So this particular bed, I put it together with manure from the alpacas that had been sitting outside in a pile for a couple of seasons. So I was pretty sure any major crazy germs will probably be gone at this point. And this is what the garden looks like 2 months after planting, 2, maybe 3 months. It's looking beautiful, lots of green foliage, everything is growing. And this was our first year in this particular garden, and we had a kick-ass harvest. It was really good. You can see potatoes, lots of tomatoes. The eggplants have not done nearly as well. in any of the following years like they did that first year. And so overall it was very successful. Nothing really failed. There were a couple of things that I could have done differently, but that is the purpose of starting your garden at a community garden or farming at a community farm, because you get to practice, you get to make mistakes, and you learn a ton. It's a lot of fun. You share with your family, and you're just learning all the time. Every year things get better, and with this system, every year the soil gets richer. And one of the things that I do at the end of the season is I packed my beds with leaves that I collect from people, put them outside because they collect them from the trees, and it protects the soil from the heavy winter weather. So that's it. That's my garden. If you have any questions or want to know more about what I did here, please feel free to post those at the end of the video. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe. I'm going to be uploading new videos. This is a new channel, and you actually get to see what this garden looks like a couple of seasons down the road. One of the videos from season, I believe, is 2019. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching.